this is Sophie Lawson from sophielawson.com, and this is another video of one of my pencil drawings, and it's another older one from 2013, and it's again another video game character, and I'm not quite sure, I've never been sure how to say her name, and that's how you spell it, but I've always called her Recettear. I don't know if that's how you say it, but she's from this little video game called an item shop tale or something. And in that video game, you run a little shop, and you get people coming in and going, and you just have to like buy goods for them. But it's a really fun little game, and I think you can see from her face that she's just a fun little character. And when I first played that game, I remember thinking, I have to draw her. So that's what I did. And what I'm going to do in these videos is, because these are older drawings, I'm just going to look at them and talk about things that I think, like things I've learnt and stuff, and try to do little comparisons but with later drawings to see like sort of improvements and stuff. And the main thing that pops out on this one is the blending. If I go to her face, for instance, actually that's quite a good example. Like that there, it's not as smooth as it could be, and also on her face, like her little cheeks. If I zoom in a little bit more, like you can see the pencil strokes, whereas like now I would sort of blend that a lot more. But what it was back then in 2013, I had just started drawing and I was using my finger to do all the blending, and now I use these things called Tortillions, which is what that is. And it's just like a little piece of paper that's been rolled up, and it allows you to like blend pencil a lot smoother. But what I was going to say was, it doesn't actually matter whether you use that or not, because I know somebody at art class who's an amazing artist. He does amazing drawings, and he does all of them with his finger. He only ever uses his finger to do all the blending, so that it doesn't really matter. I think if you enjoy using your finger for blending, and if it works for you, just because everybody else says you shouldn't be using your finger, I think just like stuff it. If it works, I would just say go with what works. But I would also say you might be really good at using your finger, but I would always try everything, because you might use a tortillion and actually find that you can be even better. So I would try everything, but just because everybody says you shouldn't be using your finger, I wouldn't say you have to not use your finger. And the thing is, when I was thinking about this drawing, I realised how much fun it actually is to put your finger in the drawing, and I kind of miss it a little bit, because like when you're using the tortillion, it's not as I don't know what the word is, but when you got your finger in there smudging it and stuff, it just feels a lot more fun, really. So I do miss a little bit not blending with my fingers, but these tortillions I get a much better blend, so I sort of go with what works best for me. So I thought I would do a little just like a comparison, and I'll do some pencil tone here. But what people say is, people say don't blend with your fingers, because it's something to do with the oils on your finger. It can produce like smudginess, I suppose. And I think, like, if you look at that there, see those little dots? I think that was where I accidentally pushed my finger onto the paper. So there is some issues with using your finger. But I remember, because I was using my finger, I didn't even know tortillions existed. So I was using my finger for like at least, I think, about a year. and I feel like I got quite good at it. So, like I say, just because everybody says, I think that'd be enough. Just because everybody says that you got to use not to use your finger, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should do. Oh, I'm going to do two little things here. I'm going to do one with a finger, and then one with a tortillion, just to sort of show an example of what it's like. So the thing with tortillions is, even when you've got them all messy, you can keep them, because even the dirty ones are still useful. So I'll do another video, a separate video about tortillions later. But like, they come in these little packets like that. So what I'll do is I'll use a dirty one, and these are really cheap. You get them on Amazon for, I don't know, you get like 12 or something for a couple of quid. So they're quite cheap. But if I use my finger on this one, like do that. See, I like that, it feels good. It's fun. It is fun, like blending with your finger. But there's another thing, you don't just get potentially oil on it. You can also, you're just running the risk of messing it up really with using your finger. But then in another way, you could look at that and think that would add a bit of character to the drawing. So it might be a good thing. But like with the tortillion, you can really like, you go back and forth really slowly. Well, not slowly, but this is very therapeutic really. You just keep going back and forth like that, and you can just end up getting really smooth, nice blends. But this wouldn't look smooth enough at the moment, because what I would normally do is I'd do another layer on top and just keep doing layers. So this is just an example. So like if I zoom in, you see how like this one is, you can see the lines, you can sort of see it's not as thingy-majig. And then this one is a lot smoother, and that's just doing it really quickly. So like another example is with this pencil drawing, like her nose for instance, or that teardrop. If you look at the teardrop, look at the teardrop when it comes back, like that bit there. You can see it looks very smooth, and that's because I used a little tortillion. And that's a good thing with a tortillion. You have a lot more control, so you can really like blend nice and accurately. Like what I said in the last video about her finger, I was talking about how I could have blended her finger a lot smoother. So like if you look here, that's very, you can see the edges and it's not very smooth. And that was done with my finger. And then this one is a lot smoother, and like with her nose as well. If you look at her nose, you can see it's not perfect. I can see I could do better, but you can see it's starting to get a lot smoother. So that's the main thing really that popped out when I went back looking at this drawing of little Recettear, and I absolutely adore her. Again, it's another one of these things where when I go back looking at these drawings, it makes me want to play the video game again, and it makes me want to do another drawing of them. Another thing about this as well is actually that it's all very one-toned, because I was only using HB pencils back then, whereas like with this one now, you can see it's a lot darker, which makes the lighters look a lot lighter. So that's another thing I've just noticed actually. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. But this was little Recettear with her little happy face. And oh, and she had a lovely little quote. She used to say, Yayifications. It was just so cool. She just had this really nice little personality about her. That was little Recette. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time for another one. Bye bye.